Okay, we are now live. So, for those in the audience, we're having fun with this. Again, thank you first, Tommy, for appearing. I'd like to also say for those who aren't going to observe this live but will see the replay, we wish you a warm holiday observance. Having moved on, it turns out this particular program, I'm visually available, but I can't hear Tommy, although he can hear me. So we're going to have to play this that by ear, you might say, for lack of anything else. And we bring this to your attention in part because part of most people I speak with, when they mention public speaking and confidence, it seems to make no sense to them whatsoever. They just think they're two differently opposite things. Tommy is very, very good at what he does. And some people would say to him, well, but you were born this way. You're just so good, so solid, I could never be like you, so why even bother? And so, as we said on our first podcast, we're going to do this program without rehearsal, without prior knowledge. And we want to show you that, yes, starting out, mistakes are made. Well, I was on a conference call this morning at 5 o'clock. Everything worked just fine. But for this reason, this moment, I can see Tommy, I can see his mouth move, but I can't hear a word that he says. So I'm not sure who's going to have the advantage here. So, but we share this with you because despite the learning curve involved, again, we have no doubt that you'll get a lot from this. And we're doing it by learning ourselves on the podcast side. So, what we're going to get out of this today is, I'll call it stage fright. And the concept being, and I'm going to challenge Tommy on this. And again, for those who are new to us, I'm not here to ask him softball questions. I'm here to make him accountable. He
Oh boy.
says anybody can do this.
Mm.
Speaking publicly, confidence also, and I don't see where that connects very well. So I'm going to hold him accountable to make that clear. And for those who get it, hey, he's the guy you want to contact for further business. But enough of the commercial break. What we're going to talk about
Nice.
today again is stage fright, the concept of it, and how it applies to pretty much everybody I've bumped into. And what I mean by that, well, back in the day, people would talk about when they go to a physical meeting and it's now their time to give their 30-second spotlight or a minute, whatever it may be, the timing is not important. And they've got to get up and now they have to present themselves. And sometimes you see them take a deep breath. They're looking up in the sky. Maybe their head is dropped to their feet in terms of mumbling to themselves. Well, folks, this is no longer a stage concept. We're now comfortably in our chairs. We're not in front of 10,000 people, no spotlights. Most of the groups that I've joined on the internet, we pretty much know each other. So we no longer have the ability to blame getting up in front of somebody in a big room talking to a lot of people. Stage fright seems to be the same no matter what, whether you're talking like Tommy and I are talking or whether you're in front of a room. So I'm going to ask Tommy two things. One, when you're through talking, just kind of give me a thumbs up and I'll ask the next question. And I hope it makes sense to you guys. Thank you. And the next item is for those who want to comment, one of their house chore work here, people will ask between the last talk and this one, and thank you for the reviews, by the way, and the suggestions. How do I make a comment? Well, if you're in Facebook, all you need to do is write in the comment section and push the send button, and that happens. I'm not yet sure how it happens on YouTube, but I think also on LinkedIn, make a comment, it will come up, and when you make a comment, you say your first name, last initial, and ask a question. If we don't get to it today, we will review all of them between now and the next time. And if there are any spillovers, we'll certainly ask what you want to have happen. So anyway, Tommy says he can hear me. I'm going to stop talking. And again, Tommy, the challenge to you is when do you ever get stage fright?
Mm.
And when you're through with that, then I'll come back to the next question. And how do you cope with it for yourself when you were coming along?
Okay, so you can see my lips moving. Well, you know what? You had mentioned earlier that anybody, I say anybody can do this, and hopefully everybody can hear me right now. But the truth is, anybody who wants to do this can do this. So really, if you make up your mind to do it, you'll get better at anything you make up your mind to do. So when I think about that, it's not that anybody can do this. If someone doesn't want to do something, they never will do something. So you have to make up your mind that you want to do it. It's going to improve you personally. It's going to improve you professionally. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about something. I love baseball, and I've been watching baseball recently, and there's no audience. There's no fans, and there's no pressure on anybody to hear from the fans, to hear the screaming, the booing, the yelling. So I consider this season a complete washout because some people don't excel well under pressure. Let's say they call New York being on the big stage. And really, there is no stage. They're just playing baseball to an empty stadium. So it's kind of an interesting thing. You get your heart doesn't get excited. You don't get nervous, all that kind of stuff. So being on the big stage is the same thing. If you make up your mind to do it, once again, I always repeat, there is no fear of public speaking, but certainly there is a fear of being judged. So most people fear being judged, and that's why they don't step up to do it.
Now, thank you, Tommy. And on the outside chance that it's not me and it's the world around me, if anybody in the audience is also not hearing Tommy, please put it in the chat because the question is it incoming, outgoing, and we'll not know that because I don't want each of you to get on and see him moving his mouth and not. Actually, I just thought of something. He's moving his mouth and he's not making any sense to me. So how's that?
That's good.
So for those who are listening, if you could throw out a thought, do you hear me or not? Do you hear Tommy or not? That would be very helpful for us because we need to correct this. And Tommy, I'm going to ask that you and I get on at a separate time, perhaps. Let me know what's good for you so we can work through this technically so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it's all good. Says you're on my end. It says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
Okay. And folks, the what you're learning here is, or what you're observing is, no, neither Tommy and I were born to be great people on the internet, and as a result, yes, mistakes will be made. And I think the message to go home with that Tommy will take this home, if he hasn't already, is that it's a learned skill. And I'm going to assume, Tommy, and correct me where I'm wrong, that again, I think which comes first, confidence or public speaking? Because I think some people really are kind of born that way. And I say I say to people, I'm an introvert. And as a result, I don't necessarily feel comfortable getting up in front of people and having ongoing dialogue. Maybe I feel, again, and Tommy may have addressed this, I don't feel what I have to say is of great value. I don't want to be embarrassed. And what Tommy does, my asking him to get clarity on my concerns, I hope it represents your concerns well, the listener, if not through your comment in the chat section. And I want to learn from this. Besides, maybe he's not right, but I think he really is because he's good at what he does. I know a little bit about his history, and one day I'll ask him about that. But today is, I'm assuming Tommy's answered how you would address the issue of stage fright. I don't know if you practice it with your best friend. And at the last session, we talked about you share a story. And maybe you're not trying to convince people. Perhaps that's the first thing, Tommy. And people may be afraid they can't convince you, therefore they're hesitant because they're looking for that home run hit. But when you tell the story about your kid or how you met your significant other or how you got your new job, then you're sharing it because you believe in it and you're not worried so much about whether the person buys into it or not. Am I right about that, off the wall on that, or where am I on that?
Well, the storytelling part is fantastic. Everybody has a story, and everybody has a story that can help someone else. And really, if people are hanging out, let's say having a coffee clutch in someone's living room, it's a conversation. You're giving a presentation. You just don't think about it because you're comfortable there. So if you're comfortable, you're able to just go out and do what it is you need to do. And you can tell your story to your friends, your family. If you're sitting around the dinner table, everybody's telling a story. But once they feel that they're outside of their comfort zone, and the terror barrier, as I like to call it, holds us back, we have to smash through the terror barrier. Understanding is once we break through it, once we break through our fears, we'll be able to stand up and you know, and people will see us step up, stand out. And in business, if you can step up and stand out, it changes everything. Everybody needs to step up personally and professionally. And then once we get through that, what public speaking does for you in business, it helps you stand out. So one of the most important things you need to do is step up. And secondly, so you'll be able to stand out. So people say to you, hey, that was terrific. I like what you had to say. Can you tell me more about it? And you have another conversation down the road.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate this. And also, what Tommy and I are doing on the sideline, we're communicating that it seems as though he's being heard. And but again, for those who are signing in on late, if you're not hearing either one of us, please holler out in the chat. Tommy and I will check on this later between us to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And again, we share with you what our background stuff because we want to impress upon you that certainly I'm not born to be in front of a camera. Tommy may have been more than that, but technically we're learning new skills. More importantly, we're sharing them with you to show that one, we can laugh about it because we know we can grow with it. We know all of us
Mm-hmm.
have a learning curve, and very few people are born to be what they are, perhaps. So we're sharing with you our glitches and our mistakes as we get better at this. Again, we want to thank you for those of you who make comment back to us. If you have any ideas or any questions, also feel free, please, to write this in on us and let us know what you'd like to do. And again, I have another question for Tommy regarding what he does. When people say that you're a natural, and I know you have a form presentation. One of the things we talked about before is having shyness and to just get over it of sorts. And I said this to somebody a few days ago. I says the last time I heard somebody tell me get over it is I was in the middle of ending a bad relationship, and I really don't know if I want to hear that as a context. So, Tommy, do you have a softer version of that you'd like to share with us in terms of how one grows, and maybe how does public speaking develop confidence, or how does confidence develop public speaking? How do you draw those two things together?
You know, if you need to get better at something, most people do. Let's face it. We say we're naturals. We might have certain skills and talents and abilities that other people don't have. But the thing, this is a learned skill. So when I keep saying to that, the answer is to go out and learn it. Maybe you need a coach. Maybe you need some training. But whatever it might be, we can all grow by learning. You know, and I talk about public speaking, and yeah, I say get over it if you have a fear of it, because if it's holding you back from success, you better get over it. So that's the reason I say it is most times we have to step up and have the courage it takes to go out and do what we need to do to find success. So with that being said, the answer is if you don't feel you can get over it, find someone who's good at it, ask them how they do it, get some training, practice with them, practice at home, be prepared. One of the things I always talk about is if you're not prepared, you're winging it. And most people will struggle when they wing it. So one of the most important things you need to do is if you do have a presentation and you do have to give it, be prepared. So you're less nervous because you're already going in prepared and you're ready to crush it. So that's what I would say today. The final thing is if you do have a presentation, never wing it. Make sure you go in prepared.
Thank you for that. Again, for those who are getting on late, we may be having some technical issues. I'm not hearing what Tommy is saying. I've been told from people in the audience they're hearing him just fine. If you are or not hearing, please let us know. If you have questions or comments, please let us know. And again, I wish those who will only see us on the replay because it's a holiday. We wish you a warm celebration and observance. But that being said, we promised that this would be for 15 minutes, no more than. To say this differently, what Tommy and I are doing here deliberately with your audience, our audience, you might say, is to show one that confidence and public speaking are very much not only compatible, they grow on each other. And it's a learned skill for most of us, which we can do very well. And what Tommy and I have done deliberately about these podcasts is that we don't rehearse them, we don't preview them, and as a result, we want to keep it spontaneous. We want the glitches that might happen to show you that we too are learning on this venue of delivery. Today's talk was about stage fright, whether you're in front of a room or whether you're on a podcast with many other people, conceptually how to deal with it and how to make it happen. And by the way, Tommy he's good, and I say that almost an annoyance because I really want to catch him off guard. So I'm going to ask your help, audience. If you got questions you think will be good zingers on him, please feed them in because I'd love to be able to pull on your resources.
There you
Tommy, any
go.
final words for us?
Well, Joe, always good to be with you. And life is a glitch, and how we get through glitches is what life is all about. So we had a few glitches, but guess what? We got through it. I think it sounds okay. Good to be with you.
Fair enough. Well, Tommy, thank you very much. I'm going to ask that you stay on for just a few more moments, but I'm going to end the broadcast.
See you later, Joe.